picture this, right? You're driving down the M1 highway at like 110 kilometers an hour.
Okay, fast.
Yeah, fast. The radio is on, engine is humming, but your windshield is completely blacked out.
Oh, wow. That is terrifying.
Right. You can't see a single thing in front of you. And the only way you are allowed to navigate this highway is by, like, staring intensely into the rearview mirror.
Just to see where you've already been.
Exactly. It sounds like an absolute nightmare. But for a shocking number of executives, that is literally how they are running multi-million-dollar operations right now.
Yeah, it's a terrifying visual, but honestly, it captures the reality perfectly.
It really does. So welcome, everyone. A massive, enthusiastic welcome to all the C9 followers tuning in today, whether you're joining us through the podcast or over on our business page.
Yes.
And a very special welcome to the Australian business owners and C-level executives listening right now. I'm Lex.
And I'm Vera. We're just thrilled to have you with us on the C9 podcast show.
Definitely. So we live in a world that is just generating absolute mountains of data, right? I mean, systems capture every click, every transaction, every pallet movement.
Oh, everything is tracked.
Everything. Yet, despite sitting on all this information, so many leaders feel like they're just flying blind.
Which is crazy when you think about it.
It is. So our mission for today's deep dive is to unpack this critical report titled The AI Analytics Revolution in Australia.
It's such a good report.
It really is. We are going to explore why, relying on yesterday's data is a massive strategic vulnerability. We'll get into the hidden compliance risks and how AI-powered dashboards are fundamentally changing the speed of Australian business.
Yeah, and to really grasp the scale of this, I think we have to start with the baseline reality for, well, thousands of businesses right now.
Right. Set the scene for us.
Basically, they are completely drowning in data, but they are starving for real-time clarity.
Drowning in data, starving for clarity. I like that.
Right, because the raw material for every major decision, it's already sitting inside the company's servers. It's there.
So it's not a collection problem.
Exactly. The problem is that the infrastructure used to extract that data is just fundamentally broken. I mean, it was not built for the speed or the complexity of business in 2026.
So let's look at what that broken infrastructure actually does to a company on, say, a random Tuesday morning.
Okay, yeah.
When you think about the modern Australian boardroom, you have these incredibly experienced, highly paid people making critical decisions.
Right.
But those decisions are being based on data that is anywhere from 48 hours to like 4 weeks old. How does that bottleneck actually happen?
Well, it usually starts with a really simple question, right? Say a department head needs to know why margins are slipping in a specific region.
A pretty standard question.
Exactly. So they send an email. And that request lands in a data analyst's inbox where it joins, 20 other urgent requests.
Oh, man. I've been in that queue.
We all have. So days pass. The decision just has to wait. Meanwhile, your highly skilled technical staff people who are hired to do complex strategic analysis, they're basically reduced to running basic database queries, exporting raw numbers into massive spreadsheets, and formatting them into PDFs.
Which means the actual data professionals aren't analyzing anything at all.
Nope.
They were just acting as a very expensive delivery service for raw numbers.
That is exactly what it is, an expensive delivery service.
But let me play devil's advocate and challenge this premise for a second.
Sure.
Didn't we solve this issue like a decade ago? I mean, every CRM, every enterprise resource planning software has a built-in dashboard now.
Yeah, they do.
So why is a standard dashboard suddenly considered a crisis in 2026?
Because there is a vast difference between a static dashboard and dynamic analytics.
Okay, unpack that for me.
Well, a static dashboard just reviews history. It operates on a scheduled refresh, so maybe it pulls data every night at 2 a.m., right? But a static query only answers the exact question it was programmed to answer, 3 years ago when it was first built. So if an invisible risk starts compounding, say, a subtle shift in supplier costs combined with a sudden cluster of customer churn, a static dashboard won't highlight that connection.
It just shows two separate numbers.
Exactly. Just two separate, slightly concerning numbers.
And because nobody is watching the live feed, those numbers just sit there doing nothing until the monthly review.
Precisely. And that's the real issue. The window for a low-cost fix closes incredibly fast nowadays.
How fast are we talking?
Well, If margin compression begins on a Tuesday and nobody connects the dots until a reporting meeting 3 weeks later,
You're cooked.
you have lost the opportunity to course correct smoothly.
Right.
What should have been, a minor operational tweak turns into a whole quarter of financial damage control.
And that transition from just an operational frustration to an actual financial threat, that is what really caught my eye in the market data we looked at.
The numbers are wild, aren't they?
Staggering. So the data analytics market in Australia is currently valued at around 2.51 billion Australian dollars right now in 2025.
Okay.
But it is projected to hit 23.94 billion by 2035.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a 25.3% compound annual growth rate.
Which basically tells us that the market is expanding by a quarter of its size every single year.
Exactly.
I mean, your competitors are aggressively funding this transition. They aren't waiting around.
And the McKinsey data in the report explained exactly why they're funding it.
The ROI is just too big to ignore.
Right. Organizations that transition to being genuinely data-driven are 23 times more likely to acquire customers
23 times.
and 19 times more likely to be profitable. They are seeing their core profitability, their EBITDA, increase by up to 25%.
That's huge. So standing still and relying on legacy spreadsheets, it isn't a neutral position anymore.
Not at all.
It is active regression. You're falling behind.
You really are. But the financial upside is just one part of it. We also have to look at the other side of the ledger, because there is a dark side to slow analytics.
Oh, the compliance stuff.
Yeah, it ties directly into legal liability. And this is the part that I think will make a lot of executives sit up straight. We're talking about security.
It's a minefield right now.
It is. The Office of the Australian Information Commissioner, the OAIC, they reported 11,113 data breaches in 2024 alone.
Jeez.
That is a 25% jump from the previous year. And get this, the average cost of a single data breach in Australia hit $4.26 million.
And you have to remember that $4.26 million figure is just the immediate cost.
Right, the fines and remediation.
Exactly. It does not factor in the long-term brand damage or, the total loss of customer trust, which is priceless.
Totally. But here's where I need you to connect the dots for me, because I think a lot of people listening might be confused.
Sure, what's the disconnect?
How does a clunky, slow analytics dashboard lead to a massive privacy fine? I mean, if the data is just old, how does that create a security breach?
It comes down to human behavior, really, and something called shadow IT.
Shadow IT. Okay, explain that.
Well, when an executive or a manager cannot get the insights they need from the official dashboard because it's, too slow or too rigid,
Yeah.
they don't just give up. They have a job to do, so they find a workaround.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Right. They ask a system administrator to just pull the raw database file. They download thousands of rows of highly sensitive customer information into an unsecured Excel spreadsheet.
Just sitting right there on their local laptop.
Exactly. Because the approved system is too frustrating, they bypass the security protocols entirely just to get their work done.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying.
It gets worse. Now you have a manager manipulating raw data in Excel to find the answer they need. Then they email that spreadsheet to, say, 3 other department heads.
Oh, no.
Suddenly, you have highly sensitive personal data names, addresses, purchase histories, just sitting in email outboxes and on unencrypted hard drives.
Wow. And under the Privacy Act 1988 and the Notifiable Data Breaches Scheme, that is a massive vulnerability.
It's a disaster waiting to happen. If one of those laptops is compromised or an email is accidentally forwarded to the wrong external vendor,
Which happens all the time.
all the time, the company is totally liable for that $4.26 million fine.
So building an analytics architecture that actually works and works quickly isn't just about, making the marketing team happy or boosting sales.
Not at all. It is a core pillar of executive risk management.
Right. Because if the system is fast and flexible, nobody needs to download the raw data in the first place.
That is exactly the goal. Keep the data in the secure environment and bring the analysis to the data rather than exporting the data to do the analysis.
Okay, so we've painted a fairly grim picture of the current state of affairs here. Driving by the rearview mirror costs you customers, it crushes margins, and it encourages these workarounds that risk multi-million-dollar privacy fines.
It's a bad spot to be in.
Let's pivot to the antidote, because the report focuses heavily on how artificial intelligence fundamentally changes a business's relationship with its data.
It really does. It represents a total structural shift in how management interacts with reality.
Okay, how so?
Well, we are moving from a system that merely reports what happened last month to an intelligent layer that explains what is happening right now, why it is happening, and what you should actually do about it.
Okay, let's walk through how this functions in the real world, rather than just listing off features, right?
Good idea. Let's do a scenario.
Yeah, let's imagine a scenario. Say, I am the operations director for a mid-sized Australian logistics company.
Okay, got it.
It's Wednesday afternoon, and out of nowhere, our fuel and maintenance costs for the regional fleet suddenly spike by 15%.
Ouch.
Yeah. Now, in a traditional system, I might not see that until the end-of-month reconciliation. How does an AI-powered dashboard handle this differently?
Okay, first we look at the live data visualization mechanism.
Hmm.
There is no waiting for a batch update at midnight. The AI architecture integrates directly with your fuel cards and maintenance logs in real time.
So I see it immediately.
Instantly. But more importantly, the system utilizes AI anomaly detection.
Now, how does that actually work under the hood? Because, I mean, standard dashboards have alerts too. If costs go over a certain budget line, they flash red. What's new here?
Standard alerts use static thresholds. So if you set the budget at $50,000, it only alerts you at $50,001.
Right, it's dumb logic.
Exactly. AI anomaly detection doesn't rely on hard-coded limits. It uses machine learning to constantly analyze the historical baseline of your operations.
So it knows what's normal.
Yes, factoring in things like seasonality, day of the week, regional variances, it literally understands what normal looks like for a rainy Wednesday in October.
Wow.
So when your fleet costs spike by 15%, the AI immediately recognizes that this deviates statistically from the established pattern.
So it flags the issue before it ever hits the ultimate budget ceiling.
Precisely.
It basically works while the management team is sleeping. It finds the problem and essentially taps you on the shoulder.
Yes. It sends a proactive alert straight to your phone or desktop. Now you are aware of the spike on Wednesday afternoon, not 3 weeks later.
Okay, so I have the alert, but I still need to know why it's happening. Usually, this is where I'd have to, call the data analyst and wait 2 days for a custom report breaking down fuel versus maintenance versus route efficiency.
And this brings us to the most transformative element, natural language queries.
Oh, I've heard about this.
It's amazing. Instead of needing to know SQL, the programming language used to communicate with databases, you simply type a question in plain English into the dashboard.
Just like I'm texting someone.
Exactly. You ask, why did regional fleet costs increase today compared to last month?
Okay, this sounds almost like magic, but I want to push back on the reliability here.
Sure, go ahead.
We have all seen AI chatbots confidently make things up or, hallucinate data.
Oh, definitely.
How can a CEO trust a financial answer generated by an AI? Does it actually democratize the data or just create more noise?
That is a highly critical concern, and it comes down to the architecture. A consumer chatbot is trained on the entire open internet, which is why it guesses and hallucinates.
Right.
An enterprise AI analytics tool uses a strict semantic layer. The large language model is only used as a translation engine.
Translation engine.
Yeah, it takes your English question, translates it into secure database code, runs that code strictly against your proprietary verified company data, and then translates the mathematical result back into English.
Oh, wow.
It cannot invent numbers because it is constrained entirely by your actual database.
That makes a lot of sense. So it acts as a bilingual translator between the executive and the database, completely removing the human analyst bottleneck.
Exactly. Gartner actually predicts that 50% of business decisions will be augmented by AI agents like this by 2026.
50%. That's massive.
It is. Like Gartner analyst Rita Salem said, the winners won't be those with the most data, but those with the infrastructure to act on it fastest.
Fast infrastructure. So back to our scenario. The AI tells me that the cost spike is due to a specific routing error in Queensland, causing trucks to idle in traffic for hours.
Right?
I can fix that immediately. But what about the future? What if I want to know how a permanent 4% increase in fuel prices will impact our overall yearly margin?
That is where the system shifts from reactive to predictive scenario modeling.
Okay.
Because the AI already understands the complex relationships between all your historical data points, routes, vehicle types, fuel consumption, customer pricing. You can just input that 4% variable.
And it calculates the ripple effect.
Yes.
Yeah.
The system will simulate thousands of scenarios and provide a highly accurate forecast of your margin compression across every single customer account.
That is incredible. You were replacing gut feeling with actual evidence-based planning.
Completely.
And I imagine this completely changes the dynamic of a board meeting. You don't walk in with a 40-slide deck of dense charts, hoping the board interprets them correctly.
Nobody wants to read 40 slides anyway. The AI utilizes narrative summaries. It can look at the data models and output 3 clear sentences.
Just 3 sentences.
Yeah, something like, fleet costs will increase by 4%. This will reduce overall margin by 1.2%. We recommend adjusting the Q3 freight surcharge by 1.5% to offset.
Wow.
So you spend the meeting actually debating the strategy, not arguing about how to read the spreadsheet.
So if this technology is so clearly superior, it begs an obvious question.
Okay, what is it?
Why wouldn't an Australian business just hop online, buy a subscription to a massive global software platform like Power BI or Tableau, download a basic template, and call it a day?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, why go through the effort of seeking out custom development?
Because of what we call the generic trap.
The generic trap.
Yeah. Those global tools are incredibly powerful engines, don't get me wrong, but they are built to appeal to the broadest possible global market.
Right, they have to work for everyone.
Exactly. Out of the box, they don't know your specific business. They don't understand the nuances of the Australian consumer law. They don't know how your industry calculates warranty liabilities. And they certainly aren't aligned with the unique operational workflows of your staff.
It makes me think of buying a prefab modular house.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Right.
Mm.
It's built quickly, and it looks nice on the outside. Once you move in, you realize the kitchen's on the wrong side,
Yeah.
the doors don't match how your family actually moves through the space, and you can't move any of the walls because they're all load-bearing.
Yeah.
You have to change how you live to suit the house rather than the house suiting you.
That is a perfect analogy for generic software. When you force your unique business processes into a rigid prefab template, the dashboard will display metrics that, almost answer the questions your leaders need.
But almost isn't good enough.
Exactly. A partial answer to a critical financial question isn't insight, it's just noise. It creates friction. And when executives feel friction, they stop trusting the dashboard and go right back to their manual Excel spreadsheets.
Which leads right back to the shadow IT and privacy risks we talked about earlier.
The $4.26 million risk.
Exactly. So this brings us to the targeted solution highlighted in our research, and why the source material specifically points to C9 for the Australian context.
Right.
C9 doesn't just configure generic templates, they build custom software and database solutions from the ground up.
And that architectural control is vital, particularly regarding the security and compliance minefield we just discussed.
How so?
Well, C9 approaches development like an architect studying the foot traffic of your business before pouring the foundation. They don't start by looking at your data schema.
What do they start with?
They start by asking, what are the exact questions your team needs to answer to make a profitable decision?
So they engineer the technology around the human behavior, not the other way around.
Exactly.
But I have to ask, when business leaders hear the phrase custom software, they immediately think of a long, expensive, painful IT headache.
Sure, that's the stereotype.
Yeah. So why is C9's bespoke approach actually better and faster for decision-making in the long run?
Because of the structural security and the immediate operational fit, let's look at compliance, for instance. When C9 engineers a database, compliance with the Privacy Act 1988 isn't an add-on feature. It is baked into the foundation through mechanisms like row-level security.
Row-level security. Let's break that down for the non-technical listeners. What does it actually do?
Think of your database as a massive filing cabinet.
Okay.
Without row-level security, anyone who opens the cabinet can see every single file.
Right.
With row-level security, the system tags the specific login ID of the user to specific rows of data at the absolute lowest architectural level.
So it's personalized access at the data layer.
Yes. If a regional manager logs in, the database literally refuses to serve data from outside their region to the application layer. The data doesn't just get hidden on the screen, it never leaves the server. Wow. It makes accidental internal data leaks practically impossible.
That is a massive relief for a CEO worrying about that $4.26 million breach average.
Oh, absolutely.
And I noticed the research also emphasizes data sovereignty with C9.
Yes. Keeping your data physically residing in Australian data centers.
Rather than bouncing it to servers halfway across the globe.
Exactly, where completely different jurisdictional privacy laws apply.
That's a big deal.
It is. When you combine that strict local security with an interface built specifically for how your team operates, the adoption rate is incredibly high. You aren't spending 6 months training staff to use a confusing, generic tool.
You're handing them a solution that already speaks their operational language.
The friction is gone, so the shadow IT just disappears.
To bring all these threads together, the paradigm shift we are observing today is profound. Australian executives need to transition from discovering problems after they have done their damage to predicting and preventing them before they compound.
It's about getting ahead of the curve. Your leadership team needs to stop discovering problems and start preventing them. The tools to do this, the AI anomaly detection, the natural language translation, the predictive modeling, they are not theoretical. They are tested, secure, and production-ready right now.
And time is definitely a factor here.
The huge factor. Every single day, a leadership team relies on a static, rearview mirrored dashboard. Analytically capable competitors are widening their information advantage. They are reacting to the market weeks faster than you are.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over regarding your own operations.
Think about this one.
If your biggest competitor starts using predictive AI tomorrow to see what's going to happen next week, and you are still waiting for an analyst to compile a spreadsheet to tell you what happened last month, how long exactly until your market share simply becomes their data point?
Oof. That is the multi-million-dollar question every executive needs to answer.
It really is. So to the Australian business owners and C-level executives listening, do not let another planning cycle pass with outdated data. It is time to act.
And don't wait.
We want to point you to C9, Australia's leading custom software, apps, integration, and database developer company. You can take the first step to securing your data and your competitive advantage by booking a free 60-minute discovery session today.
Highly recommend it.
Just visit www.c9.com.au. That's www.c9.com.au. And please, remember to click that follow button and share this podcast with other leaders who can benefit from this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious and keep looking forward.